Good morning. Um, Happy Monday. Here we are, whether we like it or not, Monday morning. Um, Looks like another, you know, like warmish week. Not bitterly cold. I don't think I can put stuff away yet. I think I'm still working. This is unprecedented. I'm going to be outdoors working until December, I think, at this rate. Um, which is fine because I'm still not done, right? I mean, I had a very unproductive weekend. I did a little here and a little there, but that's how it is sometimes. I'm beginning to think this porch is maybe the work of my lifetime, which which really can't be the end of the story because I have a side porch to do as well. So um, I this really has to be sort of finished. Although um, I took my son to the grocery store yesterday, and he said, "Oh, so what's next?" So he's already planning my next job. Um, I hope trying to plan my next job for me. He's pushing hard for the downstairs bathroom, and I don't blame him. It definitely is something that we meant to do when we moved in here 20 years ago, and it's another one of those. It's not great, but it works. So we're so far we're just leaving it. So I don't know. That's a possibility. That's a kind of it could be a winter project. I don't really know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the house is certainly never um, gotten as much attention as it has now. Um, I guess when we moved in here, the kids were just very small. My youngest was just one, and it's there's not a lot you can get done with three kids running around the house. But none were that I could get done anyway. Um, Survival was about the size of it. Uh, and then, you just kind of see it after a while. You don't even see it. It's just like it's there. Yeah, I should do that. You know, but that's one thing I think that this sort of enforced staying home, you don't really have any choice but to uh, notice some of the things that have been just sitting around that you could, see in passing on your way out to something else. Um, you had other responsibilities and plans that took precedence. So in that respect, it's not a bad thing. Um, I'm sorry that it took that to uh, give everyone the opportunity to reset. But um, I guess that's the truth of it is that you don't do that unless you have a real event, you know. And certainly, we've all had times like that in our life when something kind of momentous has happened, and we have, maybe taken that time to reevaluate what's going on in our life and where we want to go next. Um, and I don't think those are necessarily bad. I mean, I think they're a natural part of life, um, and that we should be given that opportunity is a very good thing. Um, I you know I think it is very easy to get into these routines where you get very complacent and you don't you don't really see the forest for the trees, right? We get bogged down with all of the little stuff going on in our daily life. So um, let's um, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that bigger. um, looking at the bigger picture. We spoke a while back about surrender. Right? So, this idea of surrendering to something larger than yourself. Um, so, one way um, to do this, right, is this idea of devotion. Um, and this is kind of, this may not be something that we're at yet, um, or maybe you have been in different times in your life, right? And so maybe you have done this and you're kind of doing this um, in the midst of this, or it might be something that in the future you are interested in. But um, this idea of devotion to something or someone or um, a cause, um, a a belief system. So sometimes we think of devotion in terms of like a religious experience, and it can be, right. Certainly there are people living lives of devotion to a religious order, religious principles, and that is certainly one way to use devotion. But devotion itself is sort of a tool to get to that place where you are surrendering, right? Um, Motherhood is a way, and another, like, I think of motherhood to me is a really it's an explanation of this in a very simple way that many people can understand, because that's a very common experience for many women. Um, and I'm sad to say fatherhood isn't quite the same, although it is, certainly there is devotion, but the biological aspect of motherhood makes it a little more um, like undeniable, I guess. It is something that rises up biologically from our body. Um, but that's not to say that you could not also experience that in any other way, um, adopted parenthood and whatnot. But it is that it's almost a primal urge, right? This primal desire to care for this little creature that we have. It uh, it really is, um, and we talk about. I mean, humans can have this too, but I think they talk about it more in terms of animals having what they call sort of false pregnancy, where you can biologically actually um, experience the symptoms of pregnancy, even if you're not. That desire to be so um, can move you, can just change your body chemistry to the point where that is. I don't know. See, now I'm saying this. I don't know that that's ever happened with humans, but I know it does happen with animals. Um, so, again, this devotion to this thing, we can actually, biologically change. Our desire for something can be so great. Um, and this idea is that devotion is putting yourself secondary and putting this other thing ahead of you. Your concern for them, for whatever this is that you're devoted to, is greater than your own desire for um, your life and your well-being. Which, I mean, sounds kind of bad, right, on the surface, but stay with me for a minute, right? Now, we're not talking about, being so madly in love with somebody that you give up everything and just do everything for them, right? Um, that's something else, right? That might be like infatuation or something crazy. Devotion is something that it's never negative towards you. You still have a healthy desire for your own well-being, um, but you aren't so concerned with your own selfish needs. It's more. about serving this greater purpose. Um, I think devotion would be a very hard way to live your life totally all the time, right? But yet, this is kind of what we ask in some ways with yoga. We want us to work to a place where we are not serving ourselves. We are serving the Dharma. We are serving um, what the universe has set out for us. Um, and we do this by getting out of our way, right? Not following some of those selfish impulses that we might have, and taking a look at your behavior, right? Looking at the yamas. Am I doing this kind act to make myself look um, good and clever and or whatnot? Am I helping this person out of desire to be helpful, or am I doing it because I think I'll get something in return? Um, that is a way you can be devoted to this idea of doing good, of doing your best, and not wanting something in return. Um, that's a very sort of simple way to work on devotion. Um, but you know, people have taken this. You can take this to like the extreme, and um, one thing that I've heard said about yoga is that it is yoga and Buddhism and this sort of this kind of philosophy is that it's very inactive, right? It's very um, you're doing good, but you're staying out of it, right? You're sitting on the sidelines. Uh, you're not trying to make a change. You're not calling other people out on their bad behavior, right? Um, and yoga is very clear on this, that it's not our job to correct other people. It's to correct ourselves. And hoping that, the vibrations, the energy that brings to the world, and the example that sets, then maybe causes other people to get on board with that. Um, but it's, for us, it can be a little strange because that's not really how we have learned to do things. We are very, you know, used to criticizing, used to correcting, to pointing out other people's flaws and the flaws in what we perceive as what's going on around us. Um, so, in one sense, yeah, it can seem kind of um, neutral, right? This devotion, but it's in some ways it is not at all. So if you look at this idea of nonviolence, nonviolent protest, this is the way, right? This is the way that Buddhists, um, people in yoga philosophy, have, worked on moving things forward, right? This idea of living your truth. So, and I'm going to ruin this quote, right? But this is a Gandhi quote, and um, my beliefs. I would never kill for my beliefs, but I would die for them. So the idea that you can't do a bad act or a violent act in service of a good goal, but you can put your life on the line for that goal. Um, and nonviolent protesters throughout history have done just that. They have been injured, killed, martyred. I mean, that's a thing that can happen when you really put your beliefs on the line. Um, and yoga, it's pretty clear that can happen. That if you're living your truth and you are going to live your truth out to the end, you may run afoul of and that is, I mean, throughout history you can see where that has happened, and that has made a change, right? that's something that people see, and it wakes people up. They say, hey, wait a minute, this is not how we want to be. This is not what we want to have happen. We need to change. Um, it's the ultimate kind of sacrifice. And I'm by no means telling you to go out and do that, right? But I'm saying this is devotion. This is the final devotion, right? That you would give up what we hold so dear, our survival, in service of this greater goal. Um, I hope that you're never asked to do that. um, I hope that none of us are in a position where we need to see that through. Um, it's a big ask, right? But that is that is serving the Dharma. Sometimes it is more than you want to do, right? We may not, any of us, be there at this time, but um, that is the possibility that comes with nonviolent protest, nonviolent trying to move things in the direction that we want them to go. So that's kind of a bummer, right? This is kind of heavy for a Monday morning. I'm not sure that this is where I wanted to go, but here we are. So devotion. Know that, devotion is powerful for us, and we can it can be a big ask, way more than maybe we're willing to give. And that's okay. Not everybody is every place at the same time. Um, but I guess it's a way of understanding how people get to this place. How um, there are people in the world that their beliefs, that um, what they their service of the Dharma is, that may be what they feel needs to happen, or they're being guided towards. Um, so I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but devotion itself, right? It is powerful. We see how it can change your life. It can change your body. It can change your status from living to non-living. I mean, it's it's uh, it's not something that we want to give out lightly, right? And we want to be very aware of what we're doing with this. People who uh, we've seen certainly plenty of times that people have gotten involved in religious organizations and things where they're giving their devotion to a sort of false narrative, right? To their belief in someone is not justified, right? So um, use your devotion wisely. Um, don't give it away to someone um, without your own knowledge of truth. Um, you know, people are fallible. We're all fallible, and there are plenty of people out there, and not just regular people, but also people who seem very um, smart or holy or evolved, or all of these things. They are just people, right? And we all have these, where we have these temptations, and we have these um, you know things that make us human. We all struggle with that, and even people who look like they never struggle with that struggle with that. They do. So don't put your devotion, don't put all of your faith in a person, right? um, put it towards your own self. And as we've gone on throughout everything that we've done in yoga, it always comes back to this, right? What is inside? What is that voice telling you? that is going to tell you what your dharma is, what your path is. And a lot of times people think your dharma is going to be this whole big thing, right? Like someday you'll discover it, like a path in the woods. Um, you're just like you're lost. You don't know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you see this beautiful path in the woods, and you're like, "Oh, okay, great." It's not how that works, right? I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't work like that. I think maybe it does for some people. It is just that simple. But I think for most of us, it's not. It's not a big thing, right? It's a bunch of very small things that lead you in that direction. It's every decision that you make, making the best decision, being kind, um, doing good where you can. Um, and I think we make a mistake when we kind of sit around waiting for this big, the starring role, right? So if you think about it in those terms, right? Somebody who sits at home waiting for um, to get the lead role in a movie. Meanwhile, they're not working at all. They're just sitting around. They don't have anything to do. Whereas the other person who's willing to take any part that's given them and do their best in it, even the smallest role, they're moving toward their goal. They are getting there instead of just sitting and waiting. Um, so that's this. That's what we're going for, right? We're trying to move ourselves forward, move everything forward. And in yoga, this relationship that we are trying to establish and grow with ourselves, getting very familiar with the voice within, with the sensations, right? I know for me, when I am on the right path, when I'm doing the right things, and when I'm making good choices, I can feel it within. And people sometimes say it feels like a vibration, like a. You've ever done tuning fork? Um, and when you do it, there's a good vibration and then there's a bad vibration, right? So if you're in the right place, it vibrates just right. But if you're off a little bit, it makes a terrible sound. So it feels to me like that. Like you have everything is sort of aligned. You feel like, oh, okay, this is good. If you have that feeling, then you're aware of that feeling. Then you'll know, right, when you are making the right decision, because everything will be vibrating in the right way. You'll be like, oh, okay. And that's the beauty of cultivating this relationship, is that you aren't just guessing what you should be doing. You have this feedback. You're getting this physical. I mean, it can be as a real physical feeling. It could be more of a voice. I mean, for everybody, it's a different experience. So it isn't so hard, right? I mean, well, let's get this right. Okay, it's still hard. It's not as mysterious, right? It's clear. That does not mean you're going to make the right choice. You may be like, "Oh, this is definitely the right choice. I can feel it, but I'm going to do this other thing." Hey, that happens plenty. Um, but again, we know it. We aren't just blindly going off. We've made, a conscious choice to go against what maybe would be the best. Um, and you can also make that choice to come back. Right? Um, but I think when people are confused, right, they don't really get it. Their devotion is misplaced. It's when they haven't really worked on that internal relationship enough. Yoga, meditation, any sort of mindfulness practice, um, becoming more self aware, that will get you. Um, it really, you get so much benefit from that. even though, it may feel like a lot of work, right? A little bit at a time, though, a little bit every day, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of self-reflection, paying attention to your breath, to the sensations, the physical sensations in your body as you move through your day. Um, all of these things, it adds up, and you start to see a picture of yourself, um, and how your actions affect your body, um, and your relationship with people and things around you. Um, so we get really skilled at this. I mean, hopefully, right? We can become very skilled at this, but it takes time, and it is the work of a lifetime. Right? Um, so we start wherever we are and go from there. So let's do some asana and really see if we can focus on the sensations in the body and really trusting what you're feeling and uh, the information that you're getting from your body as you're moving through the practice. Um, is moved around again. Okay. So find that comfortable place to breathe. Let your head hang down and then move around. Big circles. And then reverse. One way and then the other. I can't remember if I did it the other way or not. So I'm going to do it. And then let's lean forward here. Extend the arms. Come back up. Hands behind. Squeeze the shoulders together. Gaze up. And then back to your seat. Arms wide. Deep breath. Exhale. Hands together. Inhale. Bring the arms wide. Exhale. Hands together. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. We're gazing up. Then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. And then bring the right arm down by your side. Reach across with the left. Switch. Back up. Let's lift the shoulders. Roll back. And forward. Right hand on left knee. Sit up tall. Take a deep breath. Twist. Back to center, twist here. And then tabletop. Moving through cat-cow for a few sets. We're gonna just get the body moving a little through the torso. And then sitting back on the heels. And back up. Let's extend the right leg back. Press the ball of the foot into the mat and the heel kind of pressing back away from the body. And switch. And then maybe shift the hands forward a little bit so we can lower down. And keep the hands about chest height, elbows close to the body. We're going to lift up for cobra. Inhale, lift. So you can keep the hands on the mat or you could lift them, but we're not using the hands or the arms to hold up. It's just the body. Lower down, bring the arms out in front. You can have one hand on top of the other, maybe set the chin down or the forehead. Bring the feet a little wider. Turning toes in, heels out. And then we're gonna, let's see. Okay, bring the arms out in front. Let's do that. And we're gonna do a bow pose. So I'm gonna cue half bow, but you could always do full bow if you want. Full bow is, holding both feet at the same time, but we're gonna just do one side and then the other. So left arm is out. We're gonna bend the right knee. Right arm comes back. Grab a hold of the foot or the ankle or, maybe your pant leg. Or maybe you're just reaching back, right? Maybe you aren't really close to touching, so you can just reach back. Wherever you are, we're going to be lifting up, pressing down with that left hand, lifting the body, maybe lifting the knee a little. Breathe. And then release. Extend the right arm. We're going to switch. So now reaching back. And lifting. Releasing again. Hands out in front. Bend the elbows. You can have toes in, heels out if you like. You can turn toes out, heels in. Most people like one or the other. So you can pick whichever one is most restful for you. And then arms out again. In front, we're going to roll up onto one side, whichever one you want to start with. Bend that right knee or top knee, right? For me, it's the right knee. And then we're going to catch a hold of. Could be the knee, could be the ankle, maybe the toe. And we're just going to work on some balance here and some stretch. Breathe. If you're having a hard time staying upright, bend the knee a little bit for that bottom leg to give you a little more stability. And then bend that leg, set it back down. We're going to move to the other side. Same thing. And then release it back down. And we're going to scoot over. I'm going to get out because I'm way off the mat. So coming back onto the mat. On your back. Take a few breaths. If you don't have the knees bent, we're going to bend the knees, soles of the feet to the mat. Right ankle on top of left knee. Doing supine pigeon, right? So this is supine pigeon, which just means like pigeon on his back, right? um, so if we're ever doing pigeon, normal pigeon, sort of um, where we are, the one like it's kind of like lizard, but we slide the leg over and we're upright on the body. You could always do this one instead if uh, pigeon itself is a little too intense, too much body weight on the leg. And then setting down for a switch. And then set both feet back to the mat. We're going to bring the knees together and walk the feet to the outer edges of the mat. So the knees are kind of bumping together. Arms out to a T or goalpost arms. We're going to start lowering both knees over to the right for a gentle twist. Back to center and legs move to the left. And back to center. Extend the legs long and keep the arms out to a T for your 5-pointed star. Notice how you're feeling. Then everything back to center. Get your block if you've got one. We're going to do supported bridge. So heels back close to the body. We're lifting up, resting the block somewhere where it feels steady, you feel nice and supported. And just let the body go here. And then maybe bring the knees into the chest. If you feel you're in a good place with the block. Maybe extending the legs. And then set the feet back down. Remove your block. Rest on the mat, soles of the feet together, knees apart. You could bring the hands up over your head. Taking a hold of opposite elbows. That feels good. If not, maybe wrists. Or just interlacing the fingers. And then let's extend the legs long. Arms by your side. Palms facing up. And breathe. So that's a very sort of traditional way to do Shavasana. If you don't like it, if something feels better, then you can always change it, move the hands around or whatever you want. Just relaxing, getting steady with the breath. So maybe the first devotion is the devotion to getting to know yourself, getting to know the big self, right? Um, Being aware of the voice inside, knowing what you need, and really getting acquainted with that person. It's not really a person, right? But your true self. Um, Sometimes we feel a little hesitant to go there, to get in to that inner space. We might feel broken or unworthy or kind of afraid of what we might find in there when we start looking. But in truth, you are perfect, right? That self is perfection. It is the beginning and the end. It is all things and everything. Everything else is just stuff we've piled on top of it. Right? Um, think of your self as this kind of beautiful you know, I don't know, beautiful, clean room that we've piled stuff in, right? We've collected a lot of junk over the years. Um, Things we were given, things we thought we needed, um, things that seemed very reasonable at the time, but don't make sense now. Right? And we look at it and it's all just stuff, it's all just things that have piled up. Our job is to remove those things, to get rid of them, to release them, right? To let go of the thoughts and beliefs that maybe we inherited from our family or we experienced as a child or um, we read about or someone told us about. Um, Things that just take up space, that don't really serve us anymore. And they obscure the beauty of our room, right? This beautiful self. So there's nothing wrong with the room, right? It's just the stuff that you've put in there. When you get rid of that stuff, you see how beautiful that room is, that self. And you want to keep it that way, right? If you've ever had like a really cluttered room that you cleared out, it's amazing, right? It's a wonderful feeling to see that beauty of the empty room and maybe try to keep it that way. It's the same sort of thing. With yoga, we're trying to shed all of these layers of negative self image, negative beliefs, um, just these kind of the debris that we accumulate as we move through life. Let it go and see what's real. Um, See how beautiful and how perfect you are. And we all are. And work from there. So now moving a little bit, fingers and toes, hands and feet, maybe stretching if you feel like it. And then making your way up to a seat, unless you want to stay on your mat for your meditation. Okay. We'll bring hands together, take a deep breath in, and back out. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning for yoga and for sharing it with me here. I hope you have a lovely Monday. Namaste. Okay, some meditation because it's Monday and, why not? The wind is really picking up outside. I can hear it whistling around my windows. I'm trying not to think about having to be on a ladder today. I might put that off for another day. All right, so sitting comfortably, relax the shoulders, normal breath, close the eyes, finding that soft focus, holding maybe a small image or word, something to keep you focused and in the present, and breathe. Opening your eyes, coming back to awareness. I realized I didn't say hi to everyone. Ruth and Dora and Susan, hello, and Gwen. I hope you guys enjoyed class, and I hope that you have a great Monday. Um, enjoy the day, enjoy the sun, and I'll see you back tomorrow. I'm gonna do class on Thursday. Why not? It's Thanksgiving, but we should have class if we want to. um, so I'll be here, and I'll see you maybe then. But I'll definitely see you Tuesday. Well, if you're here, I will be here. I don't know about you, but I will be here.